Imagine this. You're scrolling through an online store. You find something you really want, a new jacket, a phone, a gaming console, whatever. It costs $200. Your bank account has $250 in it. You could buy it right now. But $200 is a lot to spend all at once. Your next paycheck isn't for 2 weeks, so you scroll past it, you move on. But then you see it. The option that changes everything. Buy now, pay later. 4 payments of $50, interest-free. You can afford $50, right? Of course you can. Everyone can afford $50, so you click, you check out. The item arrives at your door 2 days later. You feel amazing, you just bought something you wanted and you didn't even have to use your full paycheck. You got away with something, except you didn't. You didn't get away with anything. You just fell straight into a trap. And the worst part? There's a 42% chance you won't even see it coming. My name is Scott, and I make money easier to understand. If you've ever used buy now, pay later and wondered if it actually saves you money, or if you're watching someone you care about spiral into these services, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Because today, we're not just talking about a payment method. We're talking about a financial machine designed to extract money from people who can least afford to lose it. And the numbers I'm about to show you prove that BNPL isn't a convenience. It's a trap. A sophisticated, beautifully designed, perfectly legal trap. Here's what the BNPL industry doesn't want you to understand. When a company like Klarna or Afterpay tells you that your purchase is interest-free, they're not telling you the whole story. They're omitting the part where someone is definitely paying. Someone is absolutely paying for the privilege of splitting your payment into 4 installments. The only question is whether you're going to pay it without realizing it. Let's go back to that $200 jacket you bought. The store didn't just let you split it into 4 payments out of the kindness of their heart. BNPL companies charge merchants between 3 and 6% per transaction. Let's say the store got hit with a 4% fee, that's $8. $8 taken out of the store's profit on your sale. Now, a smart retailer doesn't just absorb that cost, they can't afford to, so they pass it to you. Research shows that products available through BNPL checkout are priced 2.8 to 4.2% higher than the same products on platforms that don't offer BNPL. Your $200 jacket isn't really $200, it's $204 to $208. You just didn't see the markup, but that's not the only cost. Let's say you miss one of your 4 payments. Life happens, an unexpected expense comes up. Your car needs a repair, your kid needs new shoes. You miss that $50 payment by a few days. BNPL companies charge late fees, between $7 and $12 per missed payment. So now that missed payment cost you $50 plus a $10 late fee. That's a 20% penalty on a single installment. Think about that. Miss one payment and you've just paid an effective interest rate that would make a credit card company jealous. Except credit cards are transparent about their interest. BNPL hides it behind a layer of interest-free marketing. Now, here's where this gets really dark. The people most likely to be hit with these late fees are also the people least equipped to absorb them. BNPL users are not randomly distributed across the population. They're concentrated in the exact demographic that can't afford to be paying hidden costs. 41% of BNPL users had been denied credit from traditional lenders. They walked into a bank, asked for a loan, and were told no. Then they walked into a store, picked out something they wanted, and BNPL said yes. Immediately. No credit check that matters. No underwriting, just yes. 37% of BNPL users are actively delinquent on other payments when they use BNPL. They're already behind on their credit cards. They're already late on their car payment. They're already struggling, and the BNPL system has no problem lending them money anyway. Actually, the system loves lending them money. Because the people most likely to miss payments are also the people most likely to pay the late fees that fund the entire platform. But here's the thing, that's even more insidious than the hidden costs. BNPL is scientifically designed to make you spend more money than you otherwise would. This isn't accidental, it's intentional, it's engineered. And it works. When you look at a $200 price tag, your brain says, no, that's too much. You're not spending $200 on a jacket. But when that same $200 jacket is split into 4 payments of $50, your brain says something completely different. Your brain says that's reasonable. Everyone spends $50 on something. That's normal, that's fine. That's not a big purchase, that's just a small payment. Except it is a big purchase. You're just hiding it from yourself. This is called the affordability illusion. And research shows that BNPL users become 17% more likely to make a purchase when they see the BNPL option. Not 17% more likely to use BNPL instead of a credit card. 17% more likely to make the purchase at all. The purchase they weren't going to make. The purchase they didn't need. BNPL doesn't just change how you pay for things. It changes whether you buy things. And the more you use BNPL, the worse this effect gets. The average BNPL user takes out a new loan every 5 weeks. 5 weeks. That's not someone using BNPL to break up an occasional large purchase. That's someone in a pattern. Someone who's normalized using a payment plan for regular discretionary purchases. Shoes, clothes, electronics, video games, coffee makers. Things they see, want, and buy. The psychological impact compounds. Every successful BNPL transaction reinforces the behavior. You make a purchase, you pay the first installment, you get the item, your brain registers success, dopamine releases. You can afford this. You're doing fine. So you do it again and again and again. Until suddenly you're not making one BNPL purchase a month. You're making 2, then 3, then 5. The BNPL companies know this. The research on behavioral psychology is clear. They designed the system this way on purpose. They made it easy. They made the payments small. They made it feel like you're not actually borrowing money because the word borrowing feels scary, but splitting a payment feels convenient, and they're winning. The average BNPL user has financed 9.5 purchases across these platforms in a single year. Let me say that again. 9.5 purchases in 1 year. Now let's talk about what happens when someone uses BNPL, the way millions of Americans are using it right now. They start with 1 purchase, then 2, then 5. And at some point, they realize they're not managing individual payments anymore. They're managing a system, an interconnected web of loans, all small, all supposedly easy to pay, all due on different days on different apps from different providers. 63% of BNPL users have simultaneous loans. They're not using one provider. They're using multiple providers at the same time. 1 purchase on Klarna, 1 on Afterpay, 1 on Affirm. 3 different apps, 3 different payment schedules, 3 different amounts owed. But here's the math that breaks most people. 4 payments of $50 on Klarna is $200 total. 4 payments of $50 on Afterpay is $200 total. 4 payments of $50 on Affirm is $200 total. That's $600 of total commitments that all feel like separate, manageable $50 charges. Except the brain doesn't work that way. The brain sees 3 different notifications, 3 different apps, 3 different due dates, and it compartmentalizes them. It treats them as 3 unrelated obligations instead of what they actually are. A $600 monthly commitment disguised as 3 separate $50 charges. This is where the debt spiral begins. And research from the Federal Reserve and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau shows exactly where this leads. 42% of BNPL users made at least 1 late payment in 2025, up from 39% in 2024 and 34% in 2023. The percentage of people missing BNPL payments is going up. Every year it gets worse. More people, more late fees, more defaults. But here's where it gets exponentially worse. When someone has multiple BNPL loans, they start to run out of money. Their paycheck comes. They start paying. But now they have to cover Klarna, and Afterpay, and Affirm, and their rent, and their car payment, and their utilities, and food. The BNPL payments come out automatically. And sometimes the money isn't there. An overdraft fee hits. Now they're even more behind. So what do? They take out a new BNPL loan to cover the shortfall on the old one. This is a debt spiral. Using debt to service debt, and it's accelerating. 25% of BNPL users are now financing groceries with these platforms. 25%? That's a quarter of users who have run out of money so badly that they're using an installment plan to buy food. Not fancy food, not restaurants, groceries, the basics. That number was 14% just 1 year ago. It almost doubled. In 1 year, the percentage of BNPL users who need payment plans to afford groceries went from 1 in 7 to 1 in 4. Among Gen Z users, it's even worse. A third of young people using BNPL are financing their groceries this way. A third. When you're financing food, you've crossed a line. You've moved from convenience to survival. You're not using BNPL because it's nice. You're using BNPL because you have to. Your cash flow has completely dried up. Now here's where it gets really dangerous. And this is the part that's causing regulators to lose sleep. Most BNPL transactions don't appear on your credit report. They're invisible. Off the books. A person can have 5 active BNPL loans with a combined obligation of $1,000. And when they apply for a credit card or a car loan, that debt doesn't show up. The lender sees clean credit. No indication that this person is actually drowning in short-term debt. So the bank lends them money. They approve them for a credit card. They approve them for a car loan. They believe this person has the capacity to borrow because they can't see the BNPL debt strangling them from the shadows. Then that person gets the new credit card. They start using it because they need the credit. They get the car loan. They're already stretched so thin that they miss a payment on something. And suddenly, the defaults start cascading across all their accounts. The credit card goes delinquent. The car loan goes delinquent. And the system that looked stable from the outside collapses completely. This is what the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond called spillover effects. When BNPL debt accumulates in the shadows, and then one person's financial situation breaks, it can trigger defaults across multiple credit categories simultaneously. One person's broken finances ripples out into the broader credit system. And it's not just one person. It's millions. The average BNPL user is carrying $871 more in credit card debt than someone who doesn't use BNPL. $5,734 more in student loans, $453 more in personal loans. These aren't separate populations. The same person is stacking BNPL on top of credit cards, on top of student loans, on top of personal debt. When that person finally breaks, they break across the board. This is important, so listen carefully. BNPL is not distributed evenly across the population. It's concentrated, it's targeted, it's predatory, even if it's legal. 94% of BNPL users are Gen Z or millennials. These are the youngest demographics with any income at all. The people least likely to have built wealth. The people most likely to be living paycheck to paycheck. The people most vulnerable to financial shocks. Among those users, the ones who use BNPL the most frequently are the ones who've already been rejected by the traditional banking system. They have damaged credit, they have a history of missed payments, they've walked into a bank and been told no, so they come to BNPL, where the answer is always yes, and because BNPL is easier to access, they use it more. They use multiple providers, they stack loans, and they default at higher rates. Research from the Central Bank of Ireland found that people with low financial literacy were 22 percentage points more likely to be heavy BNPL users. People who had been denied credit in the past were 15 percentage points more likely to use BNPL frequently. People who had been late on loan payments were 13 percentage points more likely to use multiple BNPL providers simultaneously. The vulnerable are the ones using these services the most, and the vulnerable are the least equipped to handle a financial emergency. So the business model becomes clear. Find people with limited options. Make credit incredibly easy to access. Make the payments feel small. Make the purchase feel inevitable. And then count on a subset of those people to miss payments, rack up late fees, and generate profits for the platform. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Now let's talk about the retailers for a second. Because a lot of people think BNPL is good for small businesses. It increases sales, it increases average order value. People spend more when they can split the payment. That's true. BNPL users spend 85% more on average than customers using other payment methods. 85% more, and that's a huge increase. But here's what happens behind the scenes. A coffee shop implements BNPL. Suddenly sales go up 8%. Great, right? Except margins go down 12% because they're eating a 3 to 6% merchant fee on every transaction, and they're losing customers who used to pay in cash or with a simple card. A furniture store switches from BNPL back to traditional payment processing. Chargebacks drop by 40%. Profit margins go up. Revenue might go down, but profit goes up. Some merchants are figuring this out. Some are walking away from BNPL entirely because they realize that more sales at a lower margin is worse than fewer sales at a higher margin. That's basic business, but the industry is still growing. Because the merchants who haven't figured out the math yet are still there. And the BNPL companies are signing deals with bigger and bigger retailers. Every time you see a checkout page with BNPL as an option, you're seeing a merchant paying for the privilege of offering it to you. And you're seeing a consumer being primed to spend more than they can actually afford. So where are we now? It's late 2025. The BNPL market is $343 billion. It's growing at 43% per year. By 2029, it's expected to hit $1.4 trillion. This isn't a fringe product anymore. It's mainstream. It's at Target. It's at Amazon. It's at every online retailer worth visiting. It's normalized. And the default rates are climbing. The late payment rates are climbing. The number of people financing groceries is climbing. The number of young people stuck in debt spirals is climbing. All while federal regulation has basically disappeared. The Trump administration rescinded the only meaningful federal rule that treated BNPL as credit. Now there's a patchwork of state laws that don't even understand what they're trying to regulate. And in the meantime, 91.5 million Americans are using BNPL. The system is designed to work this way. The BNPL companies have no real incentive to tighten their underwriting. They make money on late fees. They make money on volume. They make money when people default because that's when the real fees kick in. The merchants have already committed because the early adopters saw sales increases, even if they didn't see profit increases. The payment processors love it because they're processing transactions. Everyone is making money except the consumer. And the consumer doesn't even realize what's happening. They see interest-free, they see easy approval, they see 4 small payments, they don't see the hidden fee, they don't see the late charges, they don't see the debt spiral. They don't see the way BNPL is filling their bank account with obligations they're going to struggle to meet. Let me walk you through an actual scenario and be honest with yourself here. See if this sounds like your life. You make $50,000 a year. After taxes, that's roughly $38,000. That's what you actually take home. Now you have rent, $1,200 a month. That's $1,400 per year. Car payment, $450 a month. $5,400 per year. Insurance, $200 a month. $2,400 per year. That's $9,800 in your 3 biggest expenses. You've got $18,200 left for everything else. Food, utilities, phone, internet, everything. Now you discover BNPL, and suddenly purchases that felt impossible feel manageable. You buy a new laptop for $700, but instead of $700 leaving your account immediately, it's 4 payments of $175. Suddenly, that purchase feels affordable. So you buy a new wardrobe, another $700. 4 payments of $175. You buy some home goods, kitchen stuff, a new bedding set, another $500. 4 payments of $125. Now let's add it up. You've got 4 payments of $175, another 4 payments of $175, and 4 payments of $125. That's $1,100 a month in BNPL payments alone. But you've already spent $1,200 on rent, $450 on the car, $200 on insurance, that's $1,850. Add $1,100 in BNPL payments, and you're at $2,150 a month in committed expenses. But you only make $3,100 a month after taxes. You're already underwater. And that's before you eat food. That's before you buy gas. That's before anything unexpected happens. So what do? You miss a payment, the late fee hits. Now you're even more behind. So you take out a new BNPL loan to cover the shortage. Or you use a credit card. Or you borrow from family. Or you overdraft your account and get hit with overdraft fees. The system tightens. And by the time you realize you're in a spiral, you're already drowning. So what do you do if you're already in this situation? First, be honest. Write down every single BNPL loan you have. Every provider, every balance, every payment amount, every due date. Put it all on one piece of paper. See what you're actually dealing with, because invisibility is the enemy. Visibility is your weapon. Next, prioritize. BNPL companies want their money first because they know their payments are smaller. Your other creditors come later. Your rent gets paid after BNPL. That's backwards. Your rent is your survival. Pay that first. Pay utilities. Pay food. Then worry about BNPL. Yes, there will be late fees. Yes, there will be consequences. But living in a cardboard box because you paid BNPL instead of rent is worse. Then stop using it. Not eventually. Now. Delete the apps. Remove your payment methods. Make it impossible to take out a new BNPL loan. Because every new loan you take out is a rope tied around your ankle. You can't swim to shore if you keep tying more ropes to yourself. Finally, build a plan to get out. It might take months, it might take years, but every BNPL payment you make is one less payment you owe. And every payment you make on time is damage control on your credit. This isn't judgment. This is math. If you have multiple BNPL loans, you are in a high-risk situation. If you're using BNPL for groceries or gas, you are in a survival situation. If you've missed a payment, the clock is running. These aren't opinions, these are facts about your financial position. Here's the thing that should actually terrify you. This isn't a fringe problem anymore. This is systemic. BNPL usage has grown 17% in just 1 year. Default rates have grown 8 percentage points in just 1 year. The invisibility of BNPL debt means that credit card companies, auto lenders, and mortgage companies are making lending decisions based on incomplete information. They're lending money to people who are already financially stretched. When those people inevitably break, the ripples spread across the entire credit system. The Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond has warned about this specifically. They called it the spillover effect. One person's BNPL debt can cascade into credit card defaults, auto loan defaults, mortgage defaults. The whole system destabilizes, and it happens quietly because BNPL debt isn't visible on credit reports until it's too late. And the regulation that might have prevented this is gone. The CFPB under the Biden administration tried to treat BNPL as credit cards. That would have required transparency. That would have required credit checks. That would have required disclosures. The fintech industry fought it hard. And the Trump administration rescinded it. Now there's nothing. No federal oversight, no credit checks, no transparency requirements. Just a patchwork of state laws that don't even understand what they're regulating. Meanwhile, the BNPL companies keep signing deals with bigger retailers. Keep growing, keep targeting younger people, keep making it easier to borrow. Because every barrier to borrowing that gets removed is another potential late fee, another potential revenue stream. This is the BNPL trap. Interest-free purchases that cost more than credit cards. Invisible debt that breaks the credit system. Targeted lending to the people least equipped to handle it. A psychological system designed to make you spend more. A debt spiral mechanism that's spinning faster every year. And here's what infuriates me the most. This is legal. This is allowed. This is operating in broad daylight with the tacit approval of government agencies. Some states are trying to regulate it, but most are not. Most people have no idea it's even happening. If you used BNPL, you now understand the mechanics. If you're tempted by it, you now understand the risks. If you're recommending it to someone else, I'm asking you to stop. Because you're recommending a trap. You're recommending a system designed to extract wealth from people who already don't have enough. The BNPL industry is counting on you being too tired to do the math, too distracted to track all your payments, too ashamed to admit you're drowning. They're counting on you not understanding that those $4 $50 payments add up to something that should be terrifying. Don't let them count on you. Do the math. Be honest about your situation. And remember, if something sounds too good to be true, it definitely is. Interest-free isn't free. It's just paid differently. And eventually, someone pays. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.